Okay, so what about blogging? How important is blogging for e-commerce?
I think it's still important if the blog answers a question that people are searching. And you can go to Google, type in questions about the product that you sell, and then go to the people also asked section. Like, because Google will give you some ads at the top, some organic results, but then there's oftentimes a block that has people also asked, and it lists out other questions that people have also put into Google. And if you're not answering those questions on your website, you can take that as a lead and say, okay, well, I'm going to answer the first people also asked question that comes up for like the 3 searches that I think are the most important for my business, and then have a blog post about those. And then don't just put a blog post, but put a video of you answering the question embedded at the top. So there's text to read, but there's also a video. And the video, like I said earlier, can show up as a thumbnail in search results and direct people to that page. And then the text could be picked up by AI chatbots or traditional search engines like Google or Bing. Just to recap, use the people also asked section in Google as inspiration on what to answer, and then use video and written text to answer those questions.
That page would link back to the product that initiated the additional questions. Is that right?
Oh, yes. We'll go to the pants example again. Say you're selling pants, but maybe you sell pants for like, I don't know, a specific size, like really, really tall people. Maybe you answer a question about that. And then the blog page that answers the question should have either an email capture form or links to products, just so that someone doesn't show up on a blog page that has no method for you to monetize the visit.
Yeah, that's really great. I'm realizing how I could have created better content for my own website and also guided members of my squad to create better content. I've always tried to kind of blend like traditional SEO and say content clusters with e-commerce. And with the shift to really focusing on search intent, this strategy of, answering the question first and starting with the customer and what they're needing to do, but it's a little bit more sufficient for the needs of an e-commerce store. But just having an epiphany here.
But are you selling exclusively on Etsy now, or are you also selling on a Shopify site?
I'm selling on Etsy. I sell on Shopify. I sell on Amazon.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. If you can answer any questions about large props, or Pinterest is actually a really good place for this to show visual examples of people using the props.
Pinterest is my biggest traffic driver.
Really? Okay. I've learned more about Pinterest this year as I've seen the writing on the wall. I could be wrong about this, but as I've seen Google kind of lose its footing, I've been reading more about alternative platforms like Pinterest and all these other apps. But Pinterest is like 70 million monthly active users in the United States, and a lot of people are on there planning purchases. It's a really good program or app to find people.
It is. People tend to go on Pinterest with that SEO approach of I'm planning for the future. And ads typically capture people when they're ready to buy, right? So do you think Pinterest ads are a good idea for a business, and why or why not?
Yeah, we just started running Pinterest ads in Q4 of 2024. I hadn't considered it before, but for the client that we are running it for, they're doing really well. Like they're getting as good of a return, almost as good of a return as they get on Google ads, which is pretty, what's the word? That's a game changer for that client because just the number of people on Pinterest is huge. And I think Pinterest, I don't know if it attributes sales correctly because like you were saying, people plan well in advance. And I don't know if they're seeing an ad for like a home renovation and then maybe they don't have the funds to renovate their home for 6 to 12 months, but they might have made a board for themselves on Pinterest after seeing your ad 12 months prior. So, gosh, I wish everybody could do everything. It's just hard to know which to focus on, but Pinterest could be one to focus on for a lot of business owners.
That's really interesting. And I love Pinterest. And I have a lot of people who are planning for these events that happen every year for my business. Graduations happen every year. So obviously someone who's got a child who's graduating in 2026 is going to start planning their graduation party now or whenever it is that they start thinking about it. I try to get out ahead of that. And that's why I feel like Pinterest organic is really just as good because people are planning so far in advance. If you can make something that they can pin, they'll still have it later versus maybe they can't pin that particular ad.
In your experience, when you're on Pinterest personally, are you always there considering shopping for something? For me personally, if I'm ever on Pinterest, it's because I'm trying to find like, what does a jacket look like that cool actor in that cool movie had? I want a jacket like that. Pinterest is where I'll find it.
Sometimes I use Pinterest for, like, say, a style board. Like, for instance, I don't look like Meghan Markle, but we have the features. She has the money to have the best stylist, right? So she's already going to know, like, the best colors that she should wear and all the color theory and all of that type of stuff and outfit ideas. So I might go to pin those outfit ideas to maybe buy later. However, for my son, he has these different events at his school. Say it's dress like a character day. And the other day he wanted to dress as Sherlock Holmes. I went to Pinterest to look up Sherlock Holmes outfit ideas or whatever. And if I would have had time, I would have purchased the top hat for him because it was like I could search, I could do the image search right there to say, okay, where can I find this hat? Can I find it near me? Can I buy it and have it shipped to me? Whatever. So there are times that I do shop on Pinterest if I have enough time.
Yeah, I think it's an underrated platform for advertising. So we can keep it a secret or we can tell everybody else.
How can you measure the success of your PPC efforts? Can you truly attribute the success or failure of what's going on?
Yeah, attribution. There's a lot of apps that offer solutions for how to attribute sales back to like upper, mid, bottom of funnel. But I don't know, it's almost futile to try to measure it. I might not have the best strategy for this, I admit, but what I think is the best way to go about this is just to take a holistic look at everything you spent against everything that you earned. Because if you open a new ad channel, like say Pinterest, and then 3 months later, you've spent like, I don't know, $10,000 on Pinterest, and then sales are not up by more than 10,000, then like that thing that you changed adding Pinterest probably didn't make a big difference. But if you add Pinterest and then 3 months later, sales are up, you might not know conclusively that it was Pinterest, but a good chance it was if you didn't make any other big changes or if you didn't like run out of inventory, or maybe you were out of inventory up until Pinterest ads started. But like, it's pretty clear if you're running the business, if you invested in these 3 ad channels this year and sales are not up, then I mean, it's pretty clear that it didn't help you. I do pay attention to attribution in Google ads and Pinterest ads in Meta, but sometimes attributed revenues lower than I think, well, lower than I want, yet it's a big sales month. So maybe the return on ad spend looks low, but we're in Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So I won't necessarily lower the spend because of that, because I know that people are shopping, even if the return on ad spend numbers that these platforms show me doesn't look that good. I know what I know, and it's impossible that we're not getting more sales.
Right. So what would you say is the magic window of evaluation? Like 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, a full year? How long do you give it?
Yeah, I would say at least a month. When we work with a new client, I'll tell them, give us 3 months, because the first month we're learning, the second month we're seeing what happened the first month, and then the third month we're trying to repeat whatever we found that did work in month 2. But if it's just you advertising on your own, you'll probably feel a difference within a month, but not within a week, not within a day, because people have to discover your product and then think on it and then purchase. And if it's like a knee brace or something urgent, like if you need a knee brace, it's because you're injured. And so you're probably going to buy it within like a day or 2. But if it's an apparel item, you might find it and then think on it, or wait for your paycheck 2 weeks later and then make a purchase. If you wanted to see results within like a day or 2, for the first example, knee braces, that might happen, but not for most items. Like apparel, certainly not. You'd have to wait a while people consider and then eventually decide to make the purchase.
Awesome. What mistakes do you recommend e-commerce businesses avoid when it comes to PPC and or SEO?
Oh, yeah. For PPC, real briefly, don't go all in on one platform. Every business needs to stand on a couple legs. If you think of like a chair with 3 legs, it's a lot more stable than a chair with 2 legs. Every business is like that. You need to have at least like 3 to 4 strong sales channels, whether that's PPC, organic, email, social. So don't go all in on just Google ads and think it's well and expect it to work, because it probably won't. There should be a mix. For SEO, just everything has to, like, your website doesn't have to be perfect, but there can't be a blurry low res image anywhere on that website, because as soon as someone sees that, you lose legitimacy. And I know that's not a technical SEO thing like metadata, but that's one of the most glaring mistakes that I'll come across on websites that I think should otherwise be doing well. And then as far as technical SEO, I would pay an SEO expert to at least run an audit on the website so that you know if you have a bunch of like broken links, because you won't be able to find them on your own, but Google sees them. And if Google keeps crawling your website and seeing broken pages, Google's going to crawl it less and assume it's not as good of a website and show you less. So I think those three things, like don't go all in on one paid ad platform. Website has to be clean, not perfect. And then you probably should have an SEO expert at least audit the website to see things that you can't see.
That is awesome. Thank you for that. So, Austin, if somebody is listening right now and they're like, okay, I think I'm ready to try ads, how could they self-identify as a good client for you? What does that look like and how can they contact you?
Yeah, they can find me on LinkedIn at Austin Becker, e-commerce marketing. You'll find me on LinkedIn or check out our website. It's abeckermarketing.com. We also have a YouTube channel that I post some tutorials on. I need to post more, but that's called PPC for Everyone. That's our YouTube channel. It looks very different than our website, but it's us. If somebody is comfortable spending like 5 to 10,000 a month at a minimum on their ads, then we can help them. If you're spending less than that, I would just set up like a simple campaign and keep it really lean and do it in-house. But once you're past that, we usually work with clients that are doing between like 1 and 25 million a year in revenue. Some of them are a little bit higher, but that's generally who we work with.
Well, that's awesome. I will drop a link to all of what you mentioned in the show notes. So definitely go visit the show notes if you're interested in speaking with Austin. And I'm excited to watch your YouTube videos. I didn't realize you had a YouTube channel. So that is also going to be on my follow through list.
Oh boy, I'll send you a link to a newer, better video. I've got so many old videos on there and I watch them now and I think, oh, I didn't do a good job. But I think that's how everybody feels about things they create. You always wish you could do it better.
Yeah. As long as the content is still true, I don't care about like any of the how it looks. I just want the content to be true. So yeah, definitely check that out. And Austin, I really appreciate you coming on. I thank you for all of the great advice that you shared with me in San Diego. And really appreciate you coming on the Simple and Smart SEO Show podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm looking forward to listening to more of your podcasts.
All right, guys, I will catch you next week. And thanks for joining us. Before you go, don't forget, if you want to finally feel confident about SEO, check out my new AI SEO Foundations course. In just 7 days, Crystal GPT will guide you step by step to make your website more findable and your business easier to buy from. Ready to get started? Visit SEOin7days.com and let AI make SEO simple. That's SEOin7days.com with the number 7.